Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsessions
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hey, it's Jackie Cation. Welcome to the Dork Forest. You know the websites, JackieCation.com, DorkForest.com, TheDorkForest.com, FamilyPetAncestry.com. And then the Dork Forest is also on allthingscomedy.com on their podcast page. So you can listen to it on iTunes. You can review it on iTunes. You can email me, and maybe I'll just send you an MP3. There's a lot of ways to listen to it, is what I'm saying. And my email address, if you want to just email me, I will not send you the MP3. You can figure it out, is Jackie@JackieCation.com. Yeah, everything is possible from JackieCation.com. Everything's linkable. You can get merch. You can get the new hour by hour special from last year. This will make an excellent Horcrux. You can get a $5 download. There's a link to that, which is on All Things Comedy. You can buy a hard copy of it on DVD or CD. You can buy Ranger of the Dork Forest t-shirts, or just t-shirts that say the Dork Forest, that were designed by Brett Chambers, that have a quote from Lord of the Rings on them. They're all union made here in America, so they run big. So let's do the credits. Mike Rickberg composed and sang the intro song, and he sings it with his girlfriend, Sarah Cohen. And Mike Rickberg will sing again at the end the Mexican Hat Dance song, words that he made up. Patrick Brady will fix this audio. Vilmos fixes my website, JackieCation.com. On JackieCation.com and DorkForest.com, there's a donation button. If you enjoy the show and you want to donate to the show, please do. There's a lot of different ways to support. You can get merch. You can use the Amazon banner on JackieCation.com to order things from Amazon by using that portal through JackieCation. And you can just donate directly if you want. I would be great if you guys had $100 a year, $10 a month, because in November and December I ask that you don't donate to the Dork Forest. You donate to a food bank or something charitable. Anyway, but if you have $100, do it. If you don't worry about it. Thanks a lot for listening. Or just pass it on and then talk up the show. May 12th is when this will drop, 2015. And this week I am doing a lot of stand-up in Los Angeles. And then I'm doing a long set in Carlsbad, California. Very glamorous. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Let's get into it. Hey, it's Jackie Cation. Welcome to my living room in the Rangers of the Dork Forest. I'm here with Alexandra Klimavich. Klimavich. Oh, interesting. I pride myself too, because I was in telemarketing for some time, that I would have gotten that A wrong.
Well, my cousins are the Klimaviches.
Oh, are they?
They have stopped correcting people. So they are the Klimaviches, and we are the Klimaviches.
Interesting.
It's kind of a family joke.
Well, the hilarity. We have a family joke. My siblings pronounce their name differently as well. It's very weird. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, I know why. You're purple. I'm yellow. I keep turning myself up.
Oh, no.
And not you. So, Alexandra, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Here's the exciting part is you enjoy the parks.
Yes.
The amusement parks. But themed parks. Like, do you enjoy all of them?
Not all of them necessarily. I've been to a couple, like Six Flags and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But if they don't feel genuine, there's something that's lost, I think.
Well, obviously the branding is lost. And the rides are scarier.
I wouldn't say scarier. They're more intense for sure. But like having it as sort of a whole production design in development.
Right.
Just being in that world, I think
Six Flags doesn't have that world.
It doesn't have that world. It has noise.
It has a heart and carny feel to it. That's the world that we're in.
Correct.
So you like Disneyland, and then have you been to every Harry Potter land?
There's only 2 now, right?
I don't know. I haven't been to any of them.
I think there's only 2. I think we've been to the 2 in Orlando.
Oh, 2 in Orlando?
Yes.
Okay. Is there not one in London?
There's an exhibit, which I actually have not been to, but I went to Edinburgh. So I went to the castle that Hogwarts is based in.
Okay.
I went to the cafe that she sat in and the seat that she sat in while she wrote some of it.
Okay. You went to the J.K. Rowling cafe.
Tour, yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
In London.
Okay, let's talk. So we can talk about Disneyland. I've had entire episodes about Disneyland. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Harry Potter Land. What's it called? Is it called Harry Potter Land?
There's Diagon Alley.
Okay.
Which is the whole Diagon Alley. I mean, they made everything. Nocturne Alley you can walk into.
Oh, wow.
There's shops, and there's like a animated, magical tattoo shop facade that they've made. And we were so worried we're like, oh yeah, Nocturne Alley. It's going to be a facade. It's going to be like, it's this way. It's deep and dark. You don't go there. You can walk into it.
Oh, wow.
You can shop in it. And then if you have a wand for like, a lot of the kids get wands and they get told that they can do magic in certain areas. You can activate like hologram things.
Oh, wow.
Like you turn a little bird and you give him like big feet and then he gets really puffy and then he explodes. And like you can do that by waving your wand. And they've set up all of these spots throughout the whole park. It's
my God.
Amazing.
And are there real rides or is it just an experience?
There are real rides. There is Gringotts. They've built the bank.
Oh my God.
The waiting line is through the bank and there are animatronic animatronic bank tellers.
The gnomes or not gnomes, they're goblins.
Goblins, yeah.
Yeah.
And this amazing chandelier that is the size of a house, basically. Like it's this giant thing that's hanging from the ceiling.
Wow.
And they've also perfected, you can get British beer in line. So if we were in a line for like 2 hours and like at the front, you can grab like
an actual beer.
An actual beer. Hobgoblin beer, to be specific.
Okay.
Which is thematic and helps you get through the heat, which is amazing.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then, it's a roller coaster with 3D elements.
Okay, so it's one of the 3D roller coasters. So it's like I did The Simpsons at the Universal one. Okay, and so you're never anywhere except for in front of a screen, but it looks like amazing.
This is a slight roller coaster part of it, which actually freaked out my dad quite a bit because he was like, "Wait, it took us 2.5 hours to get through the line,
right?"
And half an hour to being at the end, he was like, "Wait, there's a roller coaster involved." Like, yes, Dad.
It's
sorry.
I'm sorry you didn't know. It'll be fine.
But it was awesome. It was a bit more roller coastery at the beginning. There was like a drop.
Okay.
But other than that, it's mostly you're totally surrounded by 3D screens.
Okay.
So it feels like you're there and they're talking to you and they're interacting.
But there's a physical drop.
There is a physical drop.
There's one physical
and you're
drop.
on a physical track for it.
Okay. Because I don't know, in California land, whatever. They have the swing thing where you ride through to see California.
And that's that's the second Harry Potter park has a ride like that.
Okay. So we're in Diagon Alley in Orlando.
Yes.
Orlando, Florida, home of some of the worst politics in the world. Hard to go to Florida, but that's where it's being kept.
I don't call it going to Florida. I call it going to Disney.
Oh, you go into Orlando.
We stay at Disney. We have Disney timeshare.
Okay.
So you stay in the parks. You rent a car through the parks.
Okay.
And then you only drive to the parks and you are in the world. And they make it so easy because there's signage and everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're not in Florida.
You're never in Florida.
You're in Disney.
Really. Okay. So when you go to the Harry Potter to Diagon Alley,
yes.
there's it's like Disneyland, but it's owned by Universal, right?
There's as much care and attention to detail. And I mean, they brought in J.K. Rowling and some of the production team from the movie to build the thing. Like they came in for all of like Secretary of
It's the greatest thing that she's still alive.
Yeah.
Because she gets input into what she meant.
Yeah.
As opposed to Tolkien, who is dead, and so everybody has to speculate like it's the Bible.
Right.
And so everybody's interpretation is completely different.
And there's like family politics involved with all of that as well.
Yeah,
It's
the kids and the grandkids and they don't get any say because he sold the rights in 1972. So it's like that. But J.K. Rowling was actually involved in this thing. So
that's the great thing about all of Orlando. Like the other Universal thing that they do in Orlando is like Halloween Horror Nights. Mm-hmm. I'm not a huge horror person, but a few years back they did Cabin in the Woods, the Joss Whedon, Drew Goddard film.
Yep.
And they did a walkthrough, and Joss consulted on the making of this walkthrough haunted house.
Oh my God.
And they had the actual, like, the costumes at the end. They had shifts of people who, like, so the little girl, what's it called? The Tooth Fairy or Ballerina Dentata. It goes both ways by the naming of it.
Right.
But she's got teeth for a face.
Oh, wow.
And she's a little girl in a ballerina costume. And they made her, like, there was a person dressed as her, and she would like interact in a glass box and like reach out to you, and
oh my God,
it's fantastic. So being able to have access to the creators like that, they do that in Orlando, and they tend not to do that in the Los Angeles location, which is a shame because
that is a shame.
Driving distance for us, but
everybody's right here. Mm-hmm. You could just ask.
Yeah.
Well, that's weird. So
I think they just don't have as much space.
Oh, right. So they have to make decisions and they don't want the creators there saying, well, you can't make that decision. Right. Build up.
Right.
So, cause there's going to be a Harry Potter land here.
There's going to be a Harry Potter land here. And from what I've heard, it's actually going to be slightly different.
Okay.
I think most of it is going to be like a full-size Hogwarts is the speculation I've heard.
Oh, wow.
Whereas in Orlando, there's like, you walk through Hogwarts and that's the line for that ride that's the 3D screen and the on arm.
Okay.
Like Soarin' in Disney.
No. What? Wait.
Oh.
So wait a minute. Back
Sorry.
up. Okay. So right now we're at Gringotts.
Right.
And, so we're still in Diagon Alley. You walk in, there's Gringotts, there's the hat store, there's the wand store, then you go
to the train station, which is a
Should
financial amazing trick.
Yeah.
Because to go to both the Harry Potter parks, you have to pay for both Universal parks.
Oh, so it's $200 or $250.
It's about $100.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so
it's about $100.
They don't gouge you too bad.
It's not terrible, and it's worth it. I mean,
right.
it's
because the park hopper
so
at Disneyland is $150,
right,
for two, and so that. I'm in. If I go to Disneyland, I want to go to California. It's the only way to do it.
So
they
got you. You know, there's no avoiding it.
Yes. And to get to either one of them, you have to get on the train
to get between the two parks.
Okay.
Yeah. So you
ride the Hogwarts Express.
You ride the Hogwarts Express, and there is a screen outside the window that makes it feel like you're traveling. And there's a whole animation of like a battle with Dementors and like on the trip.
Crying out loud!
It's so
jealous.
Yeah, Diagon Alley to the train to Hogwarts is definitely the way.
Okay, all right, yeah, and there's probably a gift shop available too, probably.
Oh, it's one of the only places I can find Hufflepuff merch.
Right.
They forget about us Hufflepuffs a lot.
Right. Would do you identify as a Hufflepuff?
I'm very much a Hufflepuff.
Are you? All right.
I pushed it away for a long time, and then I actually thought about it.
Because everyone wants to be Gryffindor or Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
And though some people embrace their Slytherin, their inner Slytherin.
I have a lot of Slytherin friends.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
All right. So
sort of more in fantasy fulfillment than actually at their souls, I think.
Oh,
but,
right.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing
I
is,
have Lannister friends too. It's unavoidable.
Lannister. Please do not ID as a Lannister. That seems incesty. Okay. So by the way, Alexandra.
Yes.
Klimavich. I need to, the Avich. There we go. Alexandra Klimavich. There we go. Your Twitter handle and Instagram is Life in a Nutshell without the extra L. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And that is not a typo. It's a
it's a Bare Naked Ladies song that the two L's was not available when I first got a handle back in the days of Instant Messenger.
Sure. I
have always stuck with it to have consistency.
Okay. So that people can still find you since it was that. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's awesome. So if people want to follow you, they have Twitter and Instagram. And then, okay, so you get on the train, and so you leave Gringotts and Diagon Alley.
You leave Diagon Alley,
yeah,
and it brings you to Hogsmeade.
Hogsmeade, the village where everyone lived.
Yep.
And
the Three Broomsticks is there, and that's where you can eat lunch.
And that's where, oh my gosh.
And the Hogshead.
Oh, the pub.
And they brew their own beer in upstate Florida that is a red ale. That is their beer.
Okay, well the thing is it's so different at Universal because you can get a beer. Because at Disneyland you have to join that weird club.
That's only in California.
In Orlando?
Yeah. Magic Kingdom you can't drink.
Okay.
Still. So like Disneyland and Magic Kingdom, the two with the castle, the two like
the kiddly ones,
Disney ones, you can't. But like Epcot has a food and wine festival.
Oh, that's right.
And you can like drink around the world year round. But like food and wine festival, they had like 30
in the
extra
wildlife
kiosks.
park maybe or
Animal Kingdom too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So so you go to Hogsmeade. There's a place to eat lunch. There's a place to drink some homemade beer or some
and Hogwarts is there.
And that's where Hogwarts is.
And the castle like towers over the whole thing because it looks like it's in the distance like it would be for the town.
Right.
But it's just more petite.
Oh, that's hilarious because everything's to scale.
But petite, petite is a relative phrase though because you can walk through it and there's a ride inside it and you like go to Dumbledore's office, you go through the greenhouses, you go through like the entrance to his office and everything in the dorms and
it doesn't sound like there's a boatload of rides. It sounds like it's the experience.
There's only a few, but they've so meticulously crafted the experience exactly.
Okay.
That, like I mean, there's wand shops and there's a magical creatures thing, and it's just plushes, but like they're designed to look like the shops where these things would actually be.
Right.
There's an owl reed that's just an empty room with cages on the roof and a bunch of droppings on the floor.
Oh my God.
And
you're just like, oh my gosh.
It's nothing but just the experience of what that would feel like to walk through.
Right.
And that's the best.
Yeah, that's what I want, quite honestly. It's fine. And because it's like a museum to a fictional world that you go through, and then there's gift shops and a place to eat lunch.
Exactly.
Which is all I want out of any museum, which is an experience of what I'm looking at, and then a nice place to eat, get a cup of coffee.
And things to interact with. Like, it doesn't feel museum-y, it feels immersive.
Okay, more like the Science Museum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Science Museum, but it's an entire fictional, like, cause you read the books, clearly.
Yes. I grew up, I was their age when the books came out.
Okay.
Though, technically not, because it came out years before. Like,
right.
Like, they were technically born like 10 years earlier, but like, I was.
Did you start reading them when you were 11?
Yeah.
Okay, so you read the first book when you were 11.
So I grew up with them.
Right. And were they all out? Was the last one out when you were 11?
No.
Or did they?
No, I mean, they came out, the way that they came out.
The fifth and sixth ones came out.
I guess I aged a little longer than.
Like you were ahead of the game, I think.
I was a little ahead.
Because you're younger than.
But I mean,
the
I
books.
found the first one.
Right, when you were 11.
When I was around 11.
And how many were in publication?
I think 2.
Okay. So Chamber of Secrets was out.
But then
and
they
Azkaban.
came out when,
yeah,
about on the timeline that I was growing up with them.
Right. I have nieces. I have a niece who wants to read them, but she's 8, which is a little young because once she starts, she's going to consume them all.
Right.
And they get super dark right around 3.
Yeah.
And then they just get sadder and weirder and sadder and weirder. And
Which
also
I think is helpful. Like, it's like, original kids' fairy tales were pretty dark because they were like to introduce it to them.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with and especially the tweeny stuff, like 11 and 12-year-olds right now are reading romance novels where the people have cancer. And you're like, well, that's not cheerful at all. Please stop reading that. And when I was 11, the Harlequin romances I read, which were horrible, had all rape fantasies. Someone would rape the girl and then they would fall in love. Right. And you're like, well, that seems inappropriate. Not as good either. And stop everyone, falling in love with the dying. Not that the dying don't deserve to be loved.
But I think in the case of something like The Fault in Our Stars, like that's really cool because the people that are in that book seem to have a far more mature way of dealing with it than an actual person at that age, I think, which is sort of a good way of saying
it's the only way to learn.
I mean, this is the end, but it's not.
Right.
It doesn't have to be.
They're teaching books
now.
Right.
Which I think is a good thing for kids to have.
Right, but the thing is The Fault in Our Stars is one book. The knockoffs are all just craptastic.
Well, they're far less. Yeah, they don't bring the maturity, and then you're like, well, this is just like voyeurism and kind of.
Yeah. You're just like, you're just in love with a vampire. Yep. Stop it. And if it were a vampire with. If it were Angel, it's fine. But if it's
even Angel was a bit stalkery. I love Buffy. I love Angel. But
sure, it was stalkery. But I mean, it's crap. But it had a heart to it that didn't. That like the follow up kind of crap didn't.
Well,
have.
And it was so over the top too.
Right.
It's super
it was
campy. Such a crazy thing. Whereas like the current ones try to be too. It's all that gritty and real, and it's like it's not real. Stop. That's like just by the nature of it, this isn't real.
Right. Exactly. It's like it's completely and
play to the fun of it.
Play to the fun of it and play to the nice message. Yeah. I do this joke about romance novels, and I've been doing it for a little over a year, and in the last 4 months, everybody keeps sending me, they're like, hey, people are talking about how romance novels really are good and they really affect change and they're doing all these things. And I'm like, yeah, but we don't have to laud them quite. I mean, we can still mock them a little bit because, and everyone's been reading them, but to defend it as literature is also, because the other thing is I talk about romance novels and everyone's like, 50 Shades of Grey. And I'm like, not the hitting romance novels. There's no hitting. Which is what people like.
Don't even get me started on that. That's a whole other, there's
a whole other dorkdom.
Things wrong. Well, there's just so many things wrong with it. And everybody's like, oh yeah, it's the BDSM. And I'm like, it's not though.
Right. It's a different, it's not like, bondage.
That's the whole thing.
What does BDSM stand for?
It says that it is, and it's just an abusive relationship.
Right.
Like, the worst part of it is
that it's supposed
the
to
whole
encourage
relationship.
Right. There's this lack of consent that is layered over it, according to, and I haven't read it. I will opine.
I read the first one just out of sheer curiosity, and it's the worst female lead I've ever read.
Wow. And there's some crap out there.
Yeah.
There's some bad.
Just the worst. And everything about it is in entirely the wrong vein. Like, just
right.
Everything.
It just isn't. Yeah. I mean, the thing is if you want to have sex and you want to role play stuff, that's great. But everyone has to know what's happening.
Well, and signing a contract that says you can't back out later, it's like, that's kind of inherently not consent.
Right. I did that once and
being
third
pressured
grade.
into sign that thing.
Right.
And like, it's not,
that's
oh,
rape.
this looks
that's
good, I'm
consensual
gonna sign it.
rape.
It's the entire time she's saying, I feel bad about this. And everyone around her is saying, we feel bad about this. Like, it's really.
Yeah, it's super creepy. It's not, but, and it isn't, and there's 19 different thousand kinds of romance novels that people read. And you can tell me
Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs is a thing now.
What is that?
Dinosaur-human relations. That's like a whole genre that has taken off since the internet and like self-publishing.
You are dipped in an entirely different world as me. I'm unfamiliar with people who want to have sex with dinosaurs, and they're writing the romance novels.
We were in a thrift shop, book thrift shop, and we came across like someone like sold their collection, and it was just like
a full collection.
This is a thing. Like you can have a collection. Like that's very
it isn't
odd to
fan
me.
fiction.
No, I mean, I think it
published?
probably started that way, but like they were successful enough in their own little niche that like they were able to publish. Actually, like people found
Harper,
them like 50 Shades.
MIT?
Like 50 Shades was like it started as fan fiction, and then they gave it validity by actually
by someone
it.
decided to bind it.
Yeah.
It's I mean, and there's so many, like there's modern romance novels, and then there's the Time Traveler's Wife, and there's a whole genre that, like the back, I've told this story before on the Dork Forest, but the Time Traveler's Wife, on the back of it, because someone was like, oh, you like romance? People are constantly, you can't pick someone else's porn, you guys. But someone handed me the Time Traveler's Wife, and I was reading the back of it, and I couldn't read it because of what the New York Times said about it, which was that it was such a unique idea to go back in time and fall in love with someone else. And I was like,
really?
Oh my God, there are buildings full of craptastic time travel things. If you like it, if you want time travel and you want romance, that's a genre. There's 1,000 of those at the Paperback Exchange
and there's no
in Minneapolis.
Way that was the first, because that was relatively recent, right?
10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
there's no way. I mean,
No.
the time, was it the
Yeah.
Time Machine, like all of
them.
that, like
right.
yeah.
And plus the it's and it's funny because some guys will say that they don't read romance novels, and then you'll read Louis L'Amour novels, and you're like, oh, those are romance novels, gentlemen. The guns are involved and there are horses, but yes,
but at the core,
at the core, a dude comes in and he meets a nice lady, and I just finished reading a Jack Reacher novel.
Oh yeah.
The first one, it's called The Killing Floor, I believe. And, I had never read any of those, but my mother-in-law gave it to me. And I thought, oh, it's going to be like Jason Bourne, which also, by the way, is a romance novel.
Yep.
And that's what the Jack Reacher, but of course he's a lone guy in the woods, or a lone guy in the big city, so it doesn't always work out, but, cause he's got to go meet some girl in the next step. Maybe in romance novels they get married and then they supposedly stay together and have babies and do what romantic things happen. I have gotten away from,
it happens frequently with me.
So you went to Scotland, but you have not been to the London one.
I just didn't do the tour in London. I lived in London for 3 months, and I did half school.
You didn't do Bunac, did you?
And
it was an exchange program I did when I went to London for 3 months.
I did BU in London, Boston University.
Oh, okay.
So I did half classes and half internship.
Oh, nice. So, and you didn't make it or it wasn't up yet, or?
I think it was like, it was like a bus trip or something like that. Like
okay.
It was a lot, and I'd already spent money on Much Ado About Nothing with David Tennant and a trip to Par to go to the Biodome that's there.
Okay.
So it was like, at a certain point, it was like, I'm just going to jump on the or the tube.
Yeah.
And
you'll
travel
be fine.
and find locations rather than actually doing the tour.
Yeah. No worries. But
there
is a tour.
It's definitely on my bucket list. That and Downton Abbey tour, which they open both.
There's a great T-shirt. One of the listeners, and she's been on the program. Geekiana.com has my favorite T-shirt, which by the way I got to get another one because I've worn it out. It's Watership Downton Abbey. And so it's a Watership Down Downton Abbey mashup.
That's great.
It's the silhouette of the manor, but the silhouette are all bunnies.
That's
And
fantastic.
it's a super cute shirt. And I need another one. So okay, but you went to Scotland where they shot Hogwarts, and so you got to
Yes.
see the different.
Yeah,
the
I
abbey
saw Edinburgh Castle. I believe.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Or the fort that's there.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's funny because it's a museum to like the wars that they've been through with this fort because it's actually a military fort. But if you see it from the back, it looks like you picture Hogwarts.
Right, because they
Like,
just shot it from the back, and you're like, oh, Hogwarts, and like, no, there's
But
more
you're like,
history.
it's not even a castle. Like this
Yeah.
is like a military fort, which is really interesting because we all think this
Castle.
elegant castle. Yeah, it's really interesting. And then the lion, and I went to the train station and all of that
cool.
in London, and
Okay, and diagonal to the 9.5.
yes.
That's awesome. Okay, so and then Disneyland. So you have been to many of the Disneylands? You like the parks?
We tend to go to Disney World the most.
Okay, and that's you and your family.
That's me and my family. Yeah.
Okay, where are you from? Are you from somewhere
I'm
near?
from Massachusetts.
Okay, so it's East Coast.
It's
so
East Coast,
That's why you just head down.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've been to
And we
Disney
we
World
got
more
to
than
the,
anything.
The Disney Vacation Club when I was like 7, I think.
Okay.
And we've gone like every other year, and I always try to bring a friend. This year we went with my boyfriend and his mom and stepdad. And,
Well, congratulations.
and
on your
we all
relationship.
went and did the Food and Wine Festival
at the Epcot
at
Center.
Epcot. Yeah.
And so it's a world of wine and food at the
It
Epcot
is,
Center?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the things that are the worst thing about Epcot as a kid are the best things about it as an adult. It's just hanging out in the sun and in that environment with live music, and like there's like a little comedy troupe in England, and
Right, and super clean.
the parades and the fireworks and just all of that. Plus, I think they added like 36 extra kiosks this year.
Okay.
And they fly in like chefs from those countries. They bring in people from those countries to work the kiosks.
Well,
You
that's
get
a
little
very
passport,
adult-
and they stamp off. You get a stamp each time you go to each food kiosk. So you try to collect like a
Okay.
stamp from each. And it's all between like $3 and $7 for every item of food or drink, which
Okay.
is such good food
Right.
considering how much you spend like on a single meal in most of the parks.
Right, but if there's 25 of them, and so they're
It works out to about the same budget.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
And it's fantastic.
And
if
how
you
many
do-
days is it?
It's from the middle end of September to November.
Okay,
So we try
so-
to go in October usually.
Oh, okay. So, and because it's the park, it's not like a festival. It's the park that's there, and
It's
they
the
just
park
run
that's
it for
transformed,
2.
yeah.
Okay.
So if you get park hopper, like you
Yeah.
don't need separate admission. Like you can do like tastings and special,
Sure, if you just wanted to go to that, you could if you wanted,
Right.
but you go to the whole thing.
But we go to the whole thing, and you get a park hopper. So you do like the morning in Animal Kingdom. When you
Right.
get hungry,
Head
zip
over,
over
to the
Epcot, do food,
Yeah.
go to Magic Kingdom for fireworks at night.
Okay.
And we stay walking distance from Epcot usually. We stay at the Beach Club.
Okay.
So you can walk in at France.
Okay.
There's like a secret door there.
I've only been once,
Yeah.
and I've been to the Disney World, and it was right when Andy and I were dating, and I was trying to introduce him to my family very slowly, and my brother Russ said, "Hey, we're taking the kids to Disney World. Do you and Andy want to come?" So they rented a cabin in the woods, the fake
Right.
Disneyland
in
woods.
Wilderness Lodge.
Yeah. And so Andy and I stayed in the Murphy bed that was in the wall, and they had bunk beds for the 4 of them.
It's the best way to do it. Like
It
'cause
was-
you get full access to their transportation.
Yeah.
So the only time that we needed a car, we rented it for one day to go to Harry Potter.
Okay.
Because you can do that through Swan and Dolphin, which is also walking distance from our hotel. So it's this
What's
whole
Swan
thing
and
where-
Dolphin?
Swan and Dolphin's one of the other hotels.
Okay.
there.
Oh, it's a different hotel that you can rent regular cars.
But you
from.
can rent.
Okay.
Yeah, they have like an Alamo or whatever in that
And how
hotel.
long did you stay? Like a week?
We stayed for a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you went to Harry Potter World for a day.
We went to Harry Potter World for a day.
Okay.
Like first thing in the morning to
Of course, because it's
late
big.
night. Yeah.
Right.
And then we did like 4 days of park hoppers and then pool and whatnot.
Well, the greatest thing in Disney World, I thought, and this was probably 10 years ago now or 8 years ago, was the Star Wars ride.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was like
Have you been since it's been updated?
no.
It's been updated.
When was it updated?
About a year and a half, 2 years
Oh,
ago.
my gosh,
I
no,
believe.
not any part of it.
Yeah, they now have it on it's each time you ride it. I think it's 3 parts.
Okay.
And it's a 3D. It's 3D now, so you have to wear glasses, which is
Right.
kind of meh. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's really amazing because there's I think 16 like modules that fill in those 3 parts.
Okay.
So, like, you'll start on Endor, you'll end on, like,
Hoth
Mandalore or something.
Okay.
Like,
Oh,
they include stuff from all 6.
Wow.
Like, environments, but it's just fully a thing that's made for the ride.
Right.
So we've done it, I think we've tried to do it about, like, 5 or 6 times, and we've hit almost all of them at this point.
Okay.
Because it's a randomized system.
Right.
So you have to
mix
hope
them up.
that, yeah. I think we've still missed, like, 1 or 2, but we've hit most of them at this point.
And do you go to Disney World every year? Because your parents have a timeshare or something?
We have the last 2 years. We're skipping this year, which makes me really sad. I'm already having, like, Disney withdrawal.
Well, you can go to the Disneyland here. Have you ever been to Disneyland here?
The problem is the only DVC, Disney Vacation Club hotel that they have is the Grand Californian, which is the best, but it books so early, and it's because it's the only one.
If it's the only one, then it's the only one I've ever been to. Is it the one that's adjacent to the park?
Yeah,
it's a giant.
There's the 2 back.
Yeah, there's a giant
to the parks. And,
yeah. Okay.
And it's like, it feels like Wilderness Lodge. It's that big cabin inside feel, but a bit more.
I did 2 years Thanksgiving dinner at Disneyland for some reason.
Wow.
When the guy who came on, Scott Rogers, was on the show, and he talked about Disney and he was an Imagineer for
awesome
for years, and he is, and that's where they have Thanksgiving, and so we had Thanksgiving with them 2 years in a row, and I didn't see a giant lodge. I saw marble and like Disney stuff, but I didn't.
Sure if that's it. I mean,
maybe there's another.
There's 3 hotels though.
Okay.
It's just, that's the only one that you can actually book with like points.
Oh, I see. Oh, it's the vacation one.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I think this is just a regular, cause one of my brothers came.
Disneyland hotel, cause that's the one I haven't been inside.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be called, Jackie. It's going to be called the Disneyland Hotel. That's perfect. Excellent. So are you excited about the new Star Wars?
I'm very excited about the new
You're
Star
young
Wars.
enough that you might have grown up with the prequels. No?
My first memory is the Rancor scene from Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Like, ever. My first memory.
Which scene is that? And the thing is I saw them in 77 and 80 and 82,
it's
but
the
I didn't.
monster in the dungeon in Jabba's palace.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's in the pit?
Yeah.
Oh, when he fights.
When he falls and he has to fight with the bone.
That's your first memory?
My first memory is my mom picking me up, sitting me on her lap because it came on television, and her being like, "Oh, you have to watch this.
Okay.
We have to watch this."
And you're 3?
That scene, I was 3.
And you're 3, and she's like, what you need to see is a man fight a monster.
Yes.
Good for her. Good for her for having that kind of...
I am forever eternally grateful to her for that, actually.
Right. That's awesome. So,
but, we've actually, that's sort of our vetting of like new parents and stuff. It's like, how are you going to show them the Star Wars movies?
Oh, you got to
like,
show.
Are you going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or are you going to do 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3?
And because 4, 5, 6 is... There's really no reason. I had Joseph Scrimshaw, who I believe you know, who came on as an apologist of the prequels.
I'm not an apologist, but I think having seen Clone Wars, the animated series, has filled in a lot of what they were trying to do and what they... Like, the backstory that was there to be told. I think it makes it so much more apparent that they told the wrong stories.
Okay.
But also simultaneously sort of adds value to telling the stories of that time.
Okay. All right.
I just think they did it wrong.
Well, fair enough. I didn't even see number 3 because 1 and 2 were so horrible.
3 is, I think,
the best of the lot.
I actually kind of like 1. If you take out Jar Jar, 1 is not the end of the world.
My friend Dan Telfer, who has been on this program, speaking of dinosaurs, that was his dorkdom, has a very funny joke about Jar Jar and about how Jar Jar is this comic relief in the beginning. Mm-hmm. In the second movie, he's a senator. And in the third movie, which I did not see, I guess he is responsible for the genocide of billions of people.
I didn't get that. But...
Oh, okay. Well, he does a joke about, he does a dead-on impression of Jar Jar at the Nuremberg trials.
Oh, God.
Talking about how at least the trains were on time. And so it's a very funny... Yeah, he's a very funny comic, Dan Telfer. Everybody check him out. So Alexandra Klimavich. Ah, God damn it. Pardon me while I swear. Anyway, so, now what I want to do briefly for this last half hour is speak to you of the Pokemon.
Okay.
You enjoy Pokemon. I had Asterios Kokonos on. He is of Greek descent. I don't know if you can tell, but he is a Pokemon dork for sure. But you know you collect Pokemon cards. Do you play the game?
I do not play the game. I just collect them.
Interesting.
I have the same binder I've had since I was 9.
Okay.
It's like, the heavy
with the
pages
cards.
of flipping the cards set into it.
Right.
Organized by type.
Oh, by type. What are the types?
Like fire, electric, grass.
By the mana, by the color, essentially. Okay.
Yeah. And then by evolutions within that.
Okay, so those are the world, the new decks that came out, essentially.
No, not by deck. By there's a Pokemon.
Okay.
And then once it gets to a certain level, it evolves.
Okay.
So there's like Pikachu and Raichu.
Okay.
So they'll be together, and then I have all of the Pikachus
Pikachu turns
together.
into what, Raichu?
Yes.
Okay. So Pikachu is the yellow with the ears.
He's the iconic.
Everyone thinks of Pokemon. And he is in the ball. Mm-hmm. And then he will evolve after he fights enough battles to level up, essentially. Correct. Is that correct?
Actually, in that case, that was actually a bad example. Because Pikachu needs to evolve using a lightning stone.
Oh, he has to find a lightning stone.
Yes.
Is there a quest?
It's the main one that I collect, actually, the Eevee.
Okay.
Is like a little fox. He's like a little fox dog.
Evolutions?
Evolutions. Because they evolve.
Okay.
Eevee is the only one that evolves into different elements, depending on how he's evolved.
Okay, I'm lost. Let us start again. There's a boy.
Yes.
Who is going to train Pokemon.
Or a girl.
Or
it can be both in the game.
There is a child that will train a Pokemon. Mm. So what they must do is they must go into the woods and find a Pokemon and capture them, because you got to get them all.
Right.
The best slogan ever, which makes children wish to get them all. And
it took me a very long time to break from that mentality.
You gotta let that go.
I still play that way, like in the Game Boy, in the Nintendo DS game, the handheld game.
Yeah.
I still play that way. Like I do try to catch as many as humanly possible.
Okay.
But in real life, like the things that I've learned is like, there are certain ones that I really like. Like, I like the design aesthetic. I like the, conceptual, just what they represent. Like, mostly.
Is your favorite this Eevee?
And my favorite is Eevee.
So what is Eevee like? What kind of monster is Eevee?
Eevee is a tiny fox.
A tiny fox.
Tiny brown fox dog.
Like a fox dog with big ears.
Big tail.
Sure.
Little fluffy.
And a girl doll? A girl fox or boy fox, or doesn't matter?
They can be both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get Eevee the tiny fox, and then what do you do with Eevee the tiny fox?
You can keep him as Eevee by giving him a thing to hold that makes him not evolve.
Okay.
Or you can make him a Flareon by giving him a Firestone.
Okay.
Or you can make him a Vaporeon by a Water Stone.
Got it.
Or a Jolteon by a Lightning
Stone. Okay.
Or a fairy type, and there's different ways to make it the fairy type with different generations. But you have to have him know a fairy type move and love you a certain amount.
Okay.
And then he will evolve into the fairy type. If you evolve him near this magical tree stump, he'll turn into Leafeon.
Okay.
And if you evolve him near a magical, iceberg, he'll turn into Glaceon.
Okay.
And then if you evolve him at night, he'll turn into Umbreon. And if you evolve him during the day, he'll turn into the psychic type.
Psychic with actual Espeon, with actual mind powers?
Yes. They have specific moves that are attack.
Right. So when you're evolving this, you're doing this in the game. Yes. You're not doing this in the card game. You're doing this in the video game.
I think you can do it in the card game, but the card game totally eludes me. I'm not sure how the card game works. I just collect them because I like the art.
Okay. Yeah.
And, but yeah, that's why I like Eevee. It's the only one that can do that many different types depending on how you evolve it.
Okay.
It's a linear progression.
Okay. I had a Game Boy, and then I had the one that was the clamshell, and then now I have a DS. But I think I played Pokemon Red. That was the only Pokemon.
That was the original one, yeah.
Was that the original one? That's the only one I've played. And it was super fun. It reminded me of...
The great thing is X and Y and the current one, Alpha Sapphire, Omega Ruby.
Okay.
Those two are the first time since Red that they have significantly updated the graphics.
Oh.
There were many generations, and it was always little black and white. They added a little color, but it was all still that mostly
pixelated
8-bit
kind
of, yeah. And then, now there's like in X and Y, it's based on Paris. It's based on France.
Oh, wow.
The region. So you can go to like Versailles and there's a mirror hallway that you walk through in 3D. And they finally have updated that. So it's become that's, I think, a large reason why it's made a resurgence for me. Is it's finally caught up and
it looks like something amazing.
It's gorgeous. And they've added new rounds. Like instead of just aiming to catch them all and beat the Pokemon League.
Right.
Like now they've added like 2 sub-stories on top of that. And like other things you can do. It's like they're finally...
Because catch them all and then be the best battler was the premise of the game, right?
And those still exist for sure.
Right, and it's a versus game, kind of like Mortal Kombat and stuff like that, where you play your character, and then do you pick their powers when you do the versus? Or what?
You do, yeah.
Do you pick it before or do you pick it per round? Kind of like Final Fantasy.
Round.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's those I like it when you pick it per round, the Final Fantasy
and
version.
Again, as they level up, they get new, and they only can have 4 moves at a time.
Okay. So you got to swap them out.
You got to swap them out. I tend to go mostly for offensive.
Okay.
Because
can you get reincarnated pretty easily?
You can have a revive, you have potions, you have all the things that either make them healthier
like Zelda.
or actually bring them back from fainting.
Yes. Fainting.
Yep.
Yes. I think there was a friend of mine, she is so anti any sort of, and she has a little boy, and he is a little boy, and he would like to at least, I don't know, have some fun, and he is a sweet little boy, but he wanted a video game, and so she called me up and she said that she was at a garage sale and she found a Game Boy for him, and I said, "What do you mean you found a Game Boy?" She was like, "It was $15 and it came with a bunch of like Tetris and a bunch of games," and I said, "Not the old gray brick," and she was like, "Yeah, it's gray," and I said, "Oh my gosh, he can have at least my clamshell." I mean, I have, and so I sent that, and I sent like a fort.
That's the best though. That's how I got my first Game Boy. Tag sale. Tag sales are the best for that, because it's like, you'll, once you find out that you like it enough, then move up. But having that, I like having that start with the origin of the thing.
Sure.
As long as it still functions properly.
Well, and I left my old brick with my niece, who, when bored, would play Tetris, because it's the ice cream truck. Okay. It's probably, I don't know if you can hear that, Rangers. Anyway, so you collect the cards, but have you ever tried to play Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic the Gathering or any of that?
A little bit in elementary school. Like when I first started out, that was how we started it, because that was, third grade, we had NSYNC, we had Spice Girls, we had Pokemon, we had that was the pop culture explosion
of 8 years old. Yes.
Yeah. So we all started by playing, but I don't know if we were actually playing it properly. It was so long ago that I think we were probably just scrambling with trying to figure it out on our
you're
own.
like, I don't know. Is it like War? Is it like Uno?
But
what
it was
is it?
mostly, even then it was mostly about the trading. It was like you have a holographic Charizard. How many of my cards can I put together that seem enticing to you that I can get that card from you and with a reasonable deal?
Oh, fair enough.
So it was very much about the interaction of, you have what I want, how do I get that?
Yeah. It was a trading situation. That's hilarious. Wow. 'Cause I played, and I still do play a little bit of Magic the Gathering, but I don't, Andy brings home cards all the time and he's like, "Let's build decks." And it's my least favorite thing to do is to build the deck. and to really like the game, you have to want to build the deck, because you have to build offense and defense and characters
and have the strongest.
Right. What's the mana in the game? Is there a land what borrows a Pokemon in the card game? If you have the cards.
In the card game, I mean, the cards have levels. It's like in the game. Each card has a set level. But
if it's lightning, do you have to have?
Lightning is good against water.
Right, but do you have to have lightning cards to activate it? Like gems
energies,
or something? Yeah,
but
what is the energy card?
I don't know how it factors in. I know that they've become more rare because they don't include them in the current packs.
Oh, weird.
They over-flooded the market in the 90s because I had so many of them that I think I gave them away, and now everyone's scrambling for them. And I'm like, of course, the thing you never thought would be worth something is actually
classic.
Worth something now.
Of course, now it's worth something.
So definitely, I think that is very much a way of how they power it, because every element has energy cards.
Oh, that's interesting. Because everyone always says that Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon are just like Magic, but I never played anything but Magic. And Magic has a land value. You know, you can activate your characters or your creatures or the spells by having the power of the land behind you. And if it is a green, forest creature,
like forest elf
it
or
needs
something.
it needs green land. And if it's a water thing, you need a water land.
Then that's.
Is it just? It's got.
I
is it
assume
like
it's
kinda,
very similar.
It's got to be just like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right, that's awesome. Now you are wearing a T-shirt with a cupcake on it.
I am,
and it is your favorite T-shirt company in the world at this time, or one of them.
Pretty much the only
ever that you've ever had?
I like We Love Fine at cons and stuff because I like their designs and I think they're very good. But Johnny Cupcakes is like
Johnny
the majority of my collection. Yes.
All right. So Johnny Cupcakes is a cupcake themed T-shirt. What are you're wearing something with
Also, their
ladybugs?
stores are bakeries. They look like bakeries. So a lot of people will walk in. I was in line for a special release once and the woman behind me for 30 minutes
thought that there was going to be a cupcake at the end of her.
She tapped me on the shoulder and she's like, "So are these good cupcakes? Like they must be this good if people are waiting for them this long."
And you're like, they
and
don't
I was
have
just like,
cupcakes?
I sort of stammered for a second. I was like, "I'm so sorry. They
There's
don't
no
have
food
cupcakes
at the end of this. Why
Right.
is there no
Why were you
food?
waiting without knowing what it was for?"
Some people just join a line. Some people just
But yeah, no, they're a t-shirt company that started in Boston.
Okay.
It's on Newbury Street, and
Okay.
they display their t-shirts in bakery cases and in refrigerators.
Okay, in refrigerators. Plugged in refrigerators?
No,
Thank God.
just with lights and stuff.
Oh, good.
But and their sizing chart is a nutrition facts chart.
Oh, that
and
sounds insulting
the
at
tags
some level.
are little oven mitts,
Okay.
and it's
What's the one you're wearing?
the one I am wearing is a cupcake and crossbones, which is their logo.
Okay. Oh, it's the logo one.
Yes.
Okay.
Which they have many, many variations on. And then it's made of leaves and it's got little ladybugs on it.
Now, is it screen printed or is it a patch?
It's screen printed.
Okay. And you said that they have. So,
They've expanded since I first found them in 2006.
and how many T-shirts do you have of theirs?
I think I have like 36 or 40.
Wow, that's a lot of T-shirts.
Since 2006, though. I mean, it's been
Right.
10
years.
9 years, yeah.
9 years of, and 30 T-shirts, 40
And some
T-shirts.
have been gifts, and you
Okay,
know, I didn't
yeah,
buy
yeah.
them all myself. But the nice thing is like they do special releases. For a while, he did a movie series in Boston at Coolidge Corner,
Yeah.
which is this little like boutique theater, and he
Okay.
would show his favorite movies from his childhood and do a special release shirt that you could only get at the screening.
Okay.
So he did Pee-wee's Playhouse. I have my Ghostbusters one from there.
Okay. So they
and-
show these movies and then they have printed
Yeah.
a T-shirt that are themed to
And
it.
Johnny, his real name is Johnny Earl. Johnny would show up in costume. So he showed up as Pee Wee Herman with like the shoes with the water and the goldfish in the heel. And,
Nice.
He had his friends dress up as Ghostbusters.
Okay.
And it's a really very cool phenomenon, and he definitely, you can tell he appreciates
Yeah.
And he collaborates with artists. They just did an artist collaboration in Boston, and
Okay.
he tours the country and does speaking gigs now. Actually,
Oh, weird.
brand.
How to create brands and
Yeah.
stuff? Because he's hugely successful and it
Well,
worked
and,
out.
and it started out from being like a nickname when he worked at Newbury Comics.
Okay.
Like, he was selling
He worked at
t-shirts
the
out of
comic
the
book
back
store?
of his. Yeah, he was selling t-shirts out of the back of his car, and he would come in.
Did he
and they'd-
like cupcakes?
Well, they just call him Johnny this, Johnny that, and Johnny Cupcakes is the one that stuck. And then he started printing t-shirts, and then it expanded, and now
Yeah.
he has a store in Boston, in London, on Martha's Vineyard,
Okay.
and in LA. And I've
Are
lived
you
in-
from Massachusetts?
I'm from Massachusetts.
Where are you from in Massachusetts?
Brookfield.
Brookfield. Okay.
It's the reason. It's literally that podunk town.
Of what?
It has two podunk roads, and an author came through in like the 1800s, and he called it a little podunk town. And that is my town. It's that small.
It was named after the word
roads.
podunk came from your town.
I don't know if that's like a myth that has been perpetuated or if
Right.
it's actually true, but I think I'm pretty sure it's.
My friend with the Game Boy, she is from Worcester, Mass.
Oh, I went to Worcester Academy.
Oh, there you go. Her
Yep.
father taught at some Catholic college there for 1,000 generations.
Holy Cross?
Yep.
Yep.
Michael True.
Oh.
But she is a lovely person, but I went to college with her, and she always told me that Worcester was super cool. And then I went and
You
worked.
have to love it if you're like.
Yeah,
it's thinking,
it is not super cool. It is the joke town, but it's a beautiful
but
city.
it's amazing, and it's gotten much better. They've
and
done
it's got
all of this
33
construction too
universities in it.
Yeah.
So the fact
It
that
also created the rocket and birth control.
the rocket engine, like the engine that makes rockets go into the sky. All right then. See, and well, she's very proud of being from Worcester, but the weirdest thing is how much she was proud of it. And then I went to Massachusetts, and people were like, "No, that's the dumb town," and I was like, "Well,
it's got a lot of great stuff.
Town.
You just need to. That's the thing. To everyone else, it's the joke town. But
right.
If you're from there, you know all of the
cool things about
stuff,
it. You're fine. Yeah. Well, there's a joke town in everywhere. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're familiar with Modesto, California. It is a dirtbag little town that the people of Modesto are quite proud of it. And North Platte, Nebraska. I've made fun of it for 20 years, and it turns out they're not happy about me making fun of it. And my triumphant return to Nebraska, by the way, in a couple of months. I haven't been back in
Good
20
luck.
years. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be protests and other people going, yeah, it sucks here, but why are you such a jackass? Anyway, so your Twitter handle, by the way, is at Life in a Nutshell, 1L. And I'm talking with Alexandra Klimavich. Yes, Klimavich. You should hear me try to say Murray Valeriano, which I've known him for 15 years, and I've screwed up his name forever. Now, let's do this. Let's talk about what you're what you're reading. Because you're reading many of the things I'm reading, but I have never heard of Clash of Kings. A Clash of Kings?
It's one of the Game of Thrones. It's the second Game of Thrones book.
Oh, there you go. Mm-hmm. That is why. I have tried. It didn't take. I've tried to
Have you
read
watched
the book.
The show?
I've tried to watch the show.
I found watching the show before
listened,
reading the books very helpful, actually.
I tried to listen to it on Audible. Tried to read it and I've said this before, but it's just and I love sword and sorcery crap. In the books, when I was reading it, I was like,
there's a lot of minutia.
Well, no, I thought everyone was dead. Like I could tell that everyone was those are good guys. Oh, he's going to kill those people. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't care. And then I tried to listen to it.
What they do in the meantime is fascinating.
Well, but people love it. People dead on love it. And it's, my favorite part of the first 100 pages of the book is the wall and those ghosty characters. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why do we have to go anywhere else? Let's just spend the whole time there. And, we don't. Right. So, and then the TV show was too incesty for me. And then, but that was only the first 2 episodes, so maybe it went away.
It took me actually watching the first season twice to fully understand.
You really stuck with
everyone.
it.
Well,
good for you.
We host Game of Thrones nights at our house.
Okay,
we have about 70 people over each week.
Really?
Yes. So I knew that this was a thing when I first met my boyfriend. I knew this was a thing that he did, and we were in the off season. And I was like, I'm gonna.
Okay, so you stuck with it because of your boyfriend, and you're
stuck with it because all of our friends, like everybody else was into it. And I had watched it once, and I wasn't really paying attention the first time. So I was like, okay, we're gonna sit, we're gonna just do this, because I like to multitask when I watch things.
Yeah.
It's like we're gonna sit and we're just gonna do this. Mm-hmm. We're gonna go through the whole thing. And then I started reading the books.
Okay.
So it helped to have, like, with that many names,
yeah,
at least be able to put a face to a name for me is really helpful.
Okay.
Like, I love Pride and Prejudice, but I didn't fully, get everything out of it until I saw the movie, where I was able to hear the cadence of the dialogue on screen. And then when I went back to the book, I heard the cadence, and it made it...
Oh, it helped out.
It helped me.
That's great. I have that same thing with Shakespeare.
With books, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to read Shakespeare for me. I need to see the play, and then I'm like, oh, I get what they're saying. I understand. And
then you can
the
go
context.
back and deconstruct it and go more into the nitty gritty.
Exactly. Yeah. And but Game of Thrones. It's cool. I mean, I like that there's dragons and that there's fighting and there's dire wolves.
Picking your house, like which you identify with or which you fantasy identify with. You know.
Oh, is it Harry Pottery like that?
It's all about the families. It's the regions are run by families and underlords.
Okay.
So you have the Starks, who are the good guys, in pretty basic terms. Like they're
the best of the lot.
They're loyal and they're honorable, and that's not necessarily great in this world, but and a lot of the younger ones have to learn that as time goes on, which is really interesting. And then there's the Lannisters, who are the richest family, and they're the incesty family,
right, and super twisted and
very,
a mess.
very powerful because they have a large army and very conniving because they want to keep that power and that money. The Tyrells are my house, which I know I'm probably pretty much alone in that actually, but they're the best because they know the system.
Okay,
like Marjorie Tyrell in the TV show, she's in the books only from another perspective.
Okay.
Other people's perspective. Like she's mentioned.
Okay.
In the show, she's had a great presence and she's very cool.
Okay.
And
the
she knows
do the
game.
Tyrells just sort of play the game and
They're
not
the
get
second richest family.
Okay.
And they play the game. Like
Right.
they very much are aware. Like they're not brutal. They kill him with kindness.
Okay.
And they play the game and like so she wins over like the people by
Right.
going and visiting like the starving and giving them bread and like all
Okay.
the things that everyone else is too above. But she does that because she knows then she has the people that love her. So if
Okay.
anything ever happens to her or, is in
Right. Her
danger
family.
of,
Yes.
she has that in her pocket.
right,
She has
she-
the love of the people.
Okay. All right. So those are the three big.
No, then there's Greyjoys, who are like the pirates.
Okay.
In the
Banditsy?
most layman's terms, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
They're very, they're people of the sea. They live on an island and they build
Okay.
ships and they're very like cold and hard.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But they show up for the meetings. Does everybody
Sometimes,
show
yeah.
up for the meetings?
There-
You don't
we
want
have-
to, right?
We have little groups, little camps. Baratheon was the king.
Okay.
He's not anymore, but his brother is now vying for the kingdom.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think. There's Dorne, which is like.
Are you caught up on the
Southern Isles.
books?
I'm halfway through the second book.
Okay, so Clash of Kings is the second book, and he's got 5 books written, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And
So I'm working my way through it slowly, but it's really interesting because then you get to do the compare contrast of like what the show did to what the books are doing, and
Right.
the show is mostly off book now because the books are done for a lot of characters.
yeah,
So and they got permission to sort of like
just to keep writing for the show, and because they don't want to get ahead of the books, right?
right, but for some characters it's sort of the option of leave these people off that
Yeah.
a lot of people love and have been following this whole time.
Yeah.
Or because the way that George R. R. Martin writes is he writes like I think 4 and 5 were half one perspective, half the
Okay.
characters and half the characters. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure because I'm not there yet, but this is what I've heard is it's half the characters and half the characters. And then so the people that were written in the 4th book didn't get written about at all in the 5th book.
Okay.
And he's not done with the 6th book yet. So their stories ended after the 4th book.
It's so interesting that they would do a TV show of a series that wasn't
Well,
done. Does he?
Who
Did he
would
have
have
a?
think? He's been working on this since the series started.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
So that timeline wasn't expected, but that's where we're at now. So
Right. Well, I mean, and maybe they thought it wouldn't go past anything because
right. But I also think that they've discussed with him and they know the ultimate. Like the showrunners actually know where he's going ultimately.
Okay.
And have.
That is a new thing that they're doing on TV
Yeah.
shows where they know the last episode now.
Right.
They're like, you have to tell us what the button is going to be. And so
we
that's,
can make our way back there eventually somehow.
right.
Yeah.
And, which is awesome because otherwise the fury,
Right.
the rage.
But I think in general, what they've left out, I've got some book spoilers just because I'm always very curious about the changes and how the two pair up. I'm relatively totally okay in most of the changes they've made. Like they've done some drastic things, but I think it was for the best. I think they're actually slightly tempering George R. Like George R. R. Martin tends to go very detailed and very big and very like
super dense.
yeah.
And you're wondering
like,
why
they've
to some
put
extent.
some of the characters into storylines that were minor characters from the books.
Okay.
That were good storylines.
Oh, good.
And they're doing it with like characters you care about.
Yeah.
Instead of new minor characters.
Right. Well, you know, my favorite science fiction series, is this woman, Cage Baker.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's 7 books in the main series. And then there are tiny stories. She's written like a half a dozen stories because it's about immortality and the history of the world. So she's like, well, what happened in
You can,
1870?
write about any of
Right,
it.
exactly. So there were, and she passed away a couple of years ago. Very sad for someone who wishes there to be more stories in that. And then also
Well, and
her
for someone who writes
short-lived.
about immortality.
Right. Well, she had a brain tumor. Very sad. She was on the Dork Forest there, but she was on a very early episode of the Dork Forest, and such a cool lady. She was at the very first Ren Fair.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she had a crazy ass
awesome.
story about San Francisco in the late '60s, and she's like, yeah, we just wanted to dress up and pretend and play Middle Ages, and it was awesome. And then she did that until it got too corporate, man. And then she went to the Dickens Fair.
I have to admit, I still haven't been to a Ren Fair.
I've been to one.
I've heard, like, we've had good ones wherever I've lived. I've just
You could
never
go.
had
It's
the
not like
time
you don't
to
have
go.
access to. I bet you your
Right.
people.
No, there's one happening right now. I think through the second week in May. It's just
Sure.
Things are so crazy busy.
Yeah. Well, you'll get to one. I've only been to one. It was super fun. I like a turkey
have an
leg.
outfit if I go.
Oh, yeah?
I want to actually dress up.
Do you do cosplay when you go to cons?
Not usually, because
You're just going?
I usually just go. I have a lot of nerdy t-shirts and stuff, and
Yeah.
I will put an outfit together, but generally cosplay, it's like I have a couple outfits that I could do that when I do
What was
Halloween.
the last convention you went? Oh, wait, go ahead.
Oh, when I do Halloween, I tend to do characters that I would be able to wear for cosplay.
Yeah.
But it's like long wigs and like just it's warm, and a lot of the cons we do are in California in
super
the sunlight,
crowded
and super crowded and super warm, and you have to walk a distance from your hotel usually, like all of that. Mm-hmm. Just doesn't seem logical. I don't know. I wish I could. If I could do it like spot on, I would.
The commitment that people
but to
make
not do 100% and be uncomfortable, I can't.
Right. Those people, I bless them because those costumes are amazing.
It's one of my favorite things to go to a con for is just to see the dedication and the craftsmanship that people put
Andy
into
went to
it.
WonderCon and he took a bunch of pictures. There was the woman who did Ms. Marvel and freaking nailed it. And so this will be the third year I'm going to ACON in Dallas. And I don't know anything. What I know about animation could fit in a thimble. But the costumes are amazing because they're usually 7 feet tall. Right. And they've built something out of.
When I lived in Boston, I would always find out when Anime Boston was happening.
Okay.
And I would walk to the Pru because it takes place in the convention center, which is attached to the Prudential Center.
Okay.
The Prudential Center is a mall.
Okay.
But they use the Pru like a runway. All of the cosplayers. So you don't have to pay to get into the convention. You just hang out in the mall, like grab some Dunkin' Donuts and just go hang out and watch the
and just sit and look at the.
And it's the best. It was the best way to spend a weekend.
That's so fun. Are you going to go to Gen Con this year?
Perhaps.
Gen Con's the board. If people don't know, Gen Con is the board game convention in Indianapolis. I think it's in the beginning of August this year.
It's
the end of August.
Last weekend in
July. Okay, yeah, because I'm going to do a live Dork Forest there supposedly, and they are going to sponsor the Dork Forest in the last couple of weeks of May and the first couple of weeks of June, and it's a great board game convention, and the guy who owns it was on the podcast last year, and he was awesome. He talked about board games and his love of such a thing. Yeah, because you work with Will.
I work with Will. Yeah, and there are big things happening for him, I know, at Gen Con this year.
Oh, are there? Is he gonna? Because he has his own the tabletop. We'll just leave it at big things are going to happen for
Comic-Con. I will definitely be at this year, though.
You're going to go to the big Comic-Con with 100,000 people?
Mm-hmm. It'll be my third year doing San Diego, or fourth?
Do you have somewhere to hide?
My boyfriend writes comics.
Okay. Oh, does he?
Yes.
I did not know that. What does your boyfriend write?
Do you know Hacktivist?
Hacktivist,
by Boom Studios.
I know Boom Studios. I will read Hacktivist.
Or Boom, I guess.
Yeah, just Boom. Yeah. It's a Hacktivist sounds, first of all, awesome. I love Boom.
They're coming out, with the second Hacktivist, which has been announced, and I know I can talk about that. They're coming out with the second Hacktivist in July. So Jack and his writing partner, Colin, will be at Comic-Con this year. And
what is your boyfriend's full name?
Jackson Lansing.
Jackson Lansing. And, that'll be awesome. Everyone should read that. And super, because you clearly read comics then. Mm-hmm. Did you read comics before you met him? Or has he been your gateway drug?
That was actually when we first met. That was my way to sort of out-nerd him off the bat. Not out-nerd, but like keep up with the nerd, you know?
Oh, it was your common ground kind of thing? Excellent.
I said I was nerdy and we met, and he sort of did that like,
Are you
really? Not in a like condescending way, just in a genuinely skeptical sort of way. And I immediately pulled out that I collect Joe Chen Buffy covers. Joe Chen was the artist for Buffy season 8.
All right.
And that I went for like my nerdiest specific thing. Yeah, and then we talked for like 4.5 hours, and
nice.
That was that.
That was that. And now you are together. And that is beautiful. It is weird because, especially like the Dork Forest, everyone's dorkdom is so very different. Mm-hmm. And so when you meet someone who says they're really into something, you're like, what do you mean you're really into something? Mm-hmm. I met a guy this weekend who collects pens, and he said, I'm not weird about it. And I said, well, how many pens do you have? And he said, about 35. And I was like nice pens? He's like, yeah, they were about $150 a piece. And I was like, Yeah, you're in.
Yep.
Let's talk about pens one day, Eric. And because that's a full-on commitment.
Like sterling silver or something like
they're
that.
Cross pens, and then like Cross makes a very fancy pen,
Right.
and then there's other brands that
Or like
make
Tiffany makes a pen now.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
Like he likes.
Interesting.
And I was like, I like a nice pen,
Right.
but I just need it to. Like
Work right.
I just want it to really smoothly, like not be, and most of my pens are free from different hotels. I haven't bought a pen.
My dad works at a bank, and the bank pens are my favorite pens. So he'll just like send me like 30 of them at a time.
and they're as long as they're smoothly
Well,
written.
then I don't worry about losing them. So I've just been dispersing hometown bank pens all around California.
Bank. Welcome to, yeah. It's my bank came out with pens, and they I asked them if they had any more, and they said, no, we gave them out too fast. And they
just ran out.
They just ran out. You're like, I think you can get more. They're always offering them. So, well, cool. Everyone. So that's Jackson Lansing writes Hacktivist, and that's something we can plug. And it's super fun. And you read comic books.
I do.
And
not a ton, because like just keeping up with how many there are right now. Like I want to get into reading more, and my timeline has just been totally skewed. Like the Star Wars ones, I really want to read. I've heard wonderful things about the new
Princess
Star Wars
Leia's
comics.
good.
Yeah, I've heard Vader is also very fascinating.
Well, what's interesting is I was turned on to Vader, so I bought I bought 1, 2, and 4. 3 sold out. There was a variant cover available for $12, or not the variant. The original cover was available for $12, and I was like, are they going to do a second printing? I said, yeah, I don't care what the cover is. It's very beautiful, because everybody's covers are kind of nice. And I don't know enough about the art yet, though I love it. It's, I don't know.
No, I wish there was a better way to display single issues. Like just the only way to store them properly is in boxes.
Mylar bags. Oh yeah.
Or on the wall, and then they fade if you like get them in the sun too much. Because I like displaying them like art.
Yeah.
Like we have a couple places in our house where we just have comics in cases.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to destroy them at the same time.
Right.
And trades are just, you can display a trade on a shelf, you know.
Right.
Like
We've got
nice
trades coming
to that.
Yes. But it's also kind of, it's intense. So just the amount of comic books I asked Andy a couple of years ago to go through his comics, because we're running, this house is 966 square feet. I mean, there's no place to put them. And so, I was like, could you do me a favor with 3 criteria? You keep the comics that you think are going to be worth something. Keep the comics you think you'll ever reread. And then the third category is for an unknown reason, you are emotionally attached to that comic book.
Right.
And he still culled from the thousands and thousands of comics that we have, 400 comics. He got rid of 400, which freed up boxes.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was awesome. And we have since, and I am in on comics. And you said you read Ms. Marvel and Saga.
Ms. Marvel and Saga are the two that I'm actually
Up to date with,
and each week.
It's on sort of a pull list kind of thing each month. Yeah.
Yeah, and I enjoy knowing Boom and being part of that family and all of that. Like all of their Boombox, the kids comics.
The
like
Boombox
Adventure
are super
Time,
cute.
And Bee and Puppy Cat is one of my favorite
yeah?
things. It's so much fun.
Bee and Puppy Cat. That sounds adorable. And people are always looking for like ones that kids can read, because a lot of the comics are now adult.
I tried to, Bee and Puppy Cat is like a kid's comic. Like it's that like super cute and a little wacky, and it's like Adventure Time where it's got like a little dark side sometimes.
Yeah.
But I realized this summer, trying to explain it to an actual child,
Yes.
that just the scenario of what it is
What is
really
it?
hard to explain to a kid. It's Puppy Cat is not a puppy and not a cat. He's sort of a hybrid of both, and we don't know
Okay.
what he is. And he's
Sure.
from another dimension. And together, they are interdimensional temp workers. And that sentence I said to a 6-year-old before realizing
They don't know
there
what a
is no
temp-
context for what interdimensional or temp worker
Right.
is.
Interdimensional has a better shot, quite
Yes.
honestly, than Temp Worker.
So like it's great for kids, but the actual like the grounding of
Yeah.
it, and like and it's she's sort of a 20-something finding her bearings in the world, you know. And
The
and
puppy
that's
cat. The puppy cat's
bee. Bee is
the
a
bee.
girl.
The bee is a girl, and the puppy cat is her pet.
Yes.
And or
Slash
friend.
partner.
Oh,
Yeah.
slash
Like
partner.
work
They
partner.
both go to work.
They both go to work.
Oh, what is puppy cat? Is the good typist? What's puppy cat's
they
mad
have helped
skills?
solve like
Oh,
they've helped solve
detectives.
planetary issues
Okay.
and that sort of thing. Yeah.
So adventure temps.
Yeah.
Adventure temps, not just regular temps. No, it's like, what, do you
no,
put
like
MC?
temp workers in another dimension. Like they
Oh,
jump
okay.
to another dimension and they get their orders, and then they get sent from there.
Okay, and they don't have to know Mac versus Mick
Right.
and how to file that. Okay, I get that. That's hilarious. It's there's good kids ones, and then there's super dark ones that are not for kids.
Right.
That you haven't tried Chew, have you? Chew? It's
No.
Image. It's also Image. Saga is wonderful because
Yeah.
it's
Definitely not for kids, but
Definitely not
such an amazing story and such a wonderfully well-rounded world building universe.
yeah, the world
and
is
everything.
amazing with the permanent war and the different types of people and the storyline continues to move along at a good
and having
pace.
that, like, you would think future voiceover would be kind of cheesy, and it's so affecting. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
and
done
the art is
seamlessly,
amazing
yeah.
too. And then Ms. Marvel, of course,
Miss Marvel's just so much fun.
just
It's-
adorable.
It's so great to have Kamala Khan as a character. Like,
Right,
she exists and she's us and she's
and she's from
awesome.
Union City, New Jersey,
Yeah.
and she's a young Arab woman of Arab descent who is now Ms. Marvel.
And I love it, starting out and having her think that she should be Captain Marvel.
Right.
Like that moment of being like, oh, I'm a superhero. I'm going to be blonde and tall and thin.
I should
and-
be white. I
and
should be the
white.
whitest, blondest person in the world.
And then realizing like, oh, no, fuck that. Like,
Right.
no,
Yeah, we
that's-
don't need that.
That's crazy. Like, I'm going to be me and I'm going to be really effective and I'm going to be
Yes.
super fun and headstrong and
Yes.
still be true to who I am.
And when
I
she
love
hooked up
that.
with Wolverine,
Oh my god,
it was the best
Wolverine
episode.
selfie cover is
Yeah.
my favorite thing. And that, like, even he needs help. You know, it's like
Right.
having that be a team up that's like not unbalanced. It's like they need
Not-
each other in
they
this
do need-
case.
yeah.
and that's awesome.
It's a great, and Chew is just, it is also not for children, and it is about, and it's an Image title, and there's no reason it should have lasted more than one trade because it's the silliest thing in the world. We are, Tony Chu, CHU, is in a title called Chew, CHEW, and he is an FDA agent, and, FDA is the most powerful agency in the world because there was a mad cow disease, but it was a mad chicken disease. And so chicken is outlawed. And so FDA is the most powerful thing in the world because there's secret chicken outlets now. And the weirdest thing about it is everyone has food-related superpowers. Tony Chu's food-related superpower is anything he eats, he gets the history of that food, except for canned beets. He can, if he eats, right, it's the craziest thing in the world.
What does that even mean?
It means when if he bites a murder victim, he can find out who killed him.
Oh, that's iZombie is doing that right now.
Well, they think they got it from Mr. Lehman. Anyway, because
But I mean, the thing is I'm loving that show, but it's based on a comic, and I think that's in the comic. I think
Right,
that's
so-
the original iZombie comic.
Well-
I just don't know what the timeline is on when each of these things came out.
every character has a different food related, like Tony Chu's girlfriend writes restaurant reviews, and she can write them so clearly that you taste the food.
That's awesome.
Right. If she
wish that
hates
was
the
real.
food, you get sick. So,
awesome.
his daughter has a thing where she can absorb other people's powers, much like the bad guy. But she, the one guy can
Permanently?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So one guy's powers was, he could carve chocolate into anything that would work. Like he could make a gun that would kill.
Right.
He could make a knife that would cut. He could make a lawnmower that could
Have
cut
you
grass.
ever seen the British series Misfits?
No, I've heard of it though.
There is a man who can control lactose in that,
Okay.
and he can kill people with the milk in their intestine.
Oh, there you
Like
go. He
in
can
their
control,
body.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. I have heard of that actually. The whole world has gone mad. Everything's a superpower. But Ms. Marvel and Saga are definitely to be read for sure.
Definitely,
and then
definitely.
the magazine Vogue.
Yes.
The magazine Vogue is something you enjoy reading
Yes.
and not for the articles,
No. For the ads.
for the ads.
I like keeping up with where the mentality of the designers is by season. So I read it for like 4 times a year. I try to
You pick up a
get
Vogue.
the seasons. Yeah.
And what
each time there's changeover in the full page like ad spreads.
Okay. And when does that usually happen?
March and September are the big ones.
Okay. So if I get a Vogue in March
They're
is over.
this thick in March and September.
Is it March?
I think
it's
they were
April
up to
now.
like 900 something pages this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you get to see what sort of the designers, like what's going to be popular this summer kind of thing?
Yeah.
And then in September, it's what's going to be popular through the winter?
It's fall, and spring.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clothing. I get it. And I'm still looking for the perfect fringe jacket.
New York Times also has a wonderful
So you you just like to see what the cool clothes are.
Yeah, it's great. Like New York Times, you usually have to pay for, you get 6 free articles a year or something. But during fashion weeks, they put up full slideshows of each show.
Okay.
Like they have a professional photographer at the end of the runway that takes a photo of each one, and it's sorted by designer by season.
Oh, neat.
And you can just go through and see all of Fashion Week in like beautiful high definition photos.
Okay, so Rangers, if you want to see that, those are cool pictures of clothes.
Mm-hmm. And they're the ridiculous ones, they're the couture and all of that. That's just the most ridiculous. Was it Tom Brown, I believe, is like always a one to look out for, and McQueen is just always stunning.
Okay. Alan Moore wrote an amazing, and he did it collaboratively with a guy who passed away, whose name I'm spacing, wrote a fascinating, and it's over, just a short arc, it's probably coming out in trade, called Fashion Beast, comic book that you might enjoy. And it's a dystopian world, nuclear winter, but fashion still around.
That's one thing that when Jack and Colin write, it's once in a while I'll get a call. I'll be like, so in this particular setting for this character, because I'm aware of what they're doing usually. What would she be wearing?
Oh, that's awesome.
Like which designer specifically? Like we have an idea for or they'll have it'll be this kind of dress. Who should we name drop as the designer?
Okay.
Who would do that sort of thing?
Right, because I get
those questions once in a while, but then they're working on this new sci-fi adventure series that's also coming out in eventually. I'm not sure. I can't. They don't have an actual date
from
yet.
Boom as well.
But eventually, and they've been working with a fashion consultant for that, for futuristic designs, and it's awesome seeing what she's coming up with and where their artist is leading that for the world that they're building, and that they're spending that much time on what their characters are wearing is very important because they're all like teenagers and
and they would.
Yeah. It's
of
awesome.
course. Alexandra, this has been a treat. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hey, Rangers out there, follow her on Twitter in Life in a Nutshell, spelled with one L on the shell. And yay. Podcasts. Thanks for listening, you guys. Take care out there. Bye.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?